And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Thursday, March 5th. And boy, there's a wide variety of temperatures across the area from the teens to the 40s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki along with our Ag Director Bridgette Readel. Good afternoon, Bridgette. Did you guys have the thick old fog this morning kind of hanging in there over your area?
So yesterday, we all know I was on the road, especially for those who are watching on the Lighthouse Commodities live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Acres TV. And as we were coming back north across Highway 46, we're going to head towards I-94. You could see a wall cloud in front of us and checked the radar, assuming it was maybe some sort of a storm. Nope, just that much fog. Temperature dropped about 25 degrees within just minutes.
Yep.
And looks like we've stayed that way.
Yeah, it was weird because yesterday I was out and about, went into the store. It was, it was 40. It was in the upper 40s, and I was in the store maybe for a half hour. I get out, and literally, like you said, the temperature dropped over 20 degrees, and it was, And we've got that even across the area right now. In fact, taking a look at some of the crazy temperatures from, let's see, over a short period of short distance, 23 right now in Galesburg, and in Wolverton, 30 degrees warmer, or 20 degrees warmer, sorry, a 43.
Because their sun's out, right?
No, but there's a front. Oh. There's a front that's just dangled over our area, and just west of the river, temperatures in the 20s, and east of the river, it's in the 40s. So we kind of have a frontal boundary draped almost north-south right along the Red River, and to the east in Minnesota, mild temperatures. To the west, we're still dealing with fog and freezing fog. In fact, the Northern Valley still in the teens. So some crazy weather out there this afternoon. Now, we're expecting a storm system down to our south is going to rotate out of the Rockies, and it's going to try and drag a warm front through at least the Southern Valley and into Lakes Country, and that should, hopefully, and again, a lot of question marks how far north that warm front gets, but it's already in the far Southern Valley, where from Wahpeton to the South Dakota border, temperatures already in the mid to upper 40s. That warm air is trying to surge northward. It'll get about to the 94 corridor and then kind of stall. So north of 94, we're looking at teens and 20s this afternoon. And then as you go south, we're looking at 40s to near 50 as you get down towards the South Dakota border. So wide variety of temperatures across the area, and a little bit of mist, and in the far northern valley, freezing mist. But other than that, roadways are pretty much fine right now. Now tonight, a winter weather advisory goes into effect late tonight. That area of low pressure out in the Rockies swings into the Central Plains, and that will give us, it'll keep us in the clouds tonight in the 30s, but tomorrow and late tonight into tomorrow, we'll see that light wintry mix develop. And as that happens, that could slicken up the roadways for your morning commute tomorrow, so into tomorrow afternoon. And it eventually change to a little bit of light snow as temperatures remain steady around 30 and then fall in the 20s tomorrow afternoon. Again, we're not looking at a lot of snow or a lot of freezing drizzle, but as we know, it doesn't take a lot to kind of grease things up. So expect a little slippery travel around the area tomorrow. And if you're going south into the Central Plains, they're expecting their first severe weather outbreak from eastern Nebraska, Iowa, south through Missouri and Kansas tomorrow. They could have some pretty nasty thunderstorms down that way. And as we head into the weekend here, it is going to be pretty darn decent. Now, it's going to be windy over the weekend, but it will really start to warm up. We'll be in the 40s on Saturday, and we will more than likely go down in the record books on Sunday. The current record stands at 57. I'm calling for 58 on Sunday. It is going to be a breezy but very mild day on Sunday. And then after that, well, as we head into next week, it is still early March. We've got a couple of storm systems heading our way with snow next week. One on Tuesday, one on Thursday, and then one the following weekend. So there's a trio of storms that are going to be heading our way next week. Now, we're not looking at a lot of snow out of any one particular storm, at least the way it looks now. Couple inches here, couple inches there, couple inches there. I mean, by the end of next week into that following weekend, we'll have a fresh snowpack back on the ground. But we're getting indications that by mid-month and just after that we start another nice warm-up. So all in all, not a bad-looking forecast. I mean, we could be looking at blizzards this time of the year, and it's been pretty mellow. It's been pretty, and anytime you can include a record high in there, like we're expecting on Sunday, that's pretty darn good. That's pretty good.
It's for the most part, everybody's going to take that. There's not a lot of complaining when you get that type of a day, etc.
No, you get a nice break in between. And I mean, if people thought, I hope they don't think we're done with snow yet. It's early March. This is just a tease. This is just a tease of spring.
And I would say that that snowfall is still a possibility, right? We don't like to see it. We've had some very horrific storms in the months of April.
Oh,
we've had huge snowstorms. With any luck, we do not have to do that so far this year.
Exactly. And I've got a conference call with Gary later this week or next week. We're putting together our LRC Spring Outlook, which we will have. We're shooting for early April to put something together here for our Outlook. And I'm going to be talking with Gary just about that, because the LRC is predicting a well above normal temperature pattern for the month of April. Now, does that mean we're going to be snow-free? Probably not. But like you said, Bridgette, we've seen numerous blizzards in the month of April as we transition from winter into spring. And so that can be a pretty nasty month sometimes. Now, we'll see if this year holds the same thing. But right now, don't see anything too bad for the month of April. Let's hope that holds for the next few weeks into the month of April.
Okay, we're going to give that a shot. We're going to see what it looks like. You've been saying things are supposed to warm up in April and that we could start to see in early spring as far as planting season is concerned. So maybe that'll hold true as well.
Right, exactly. And, let's have a nice, these warmer days. We'll start to, kind of melt the upper surface here. We'll start to, so this moisture, so when we do get the moisture, it's not going to run off. We can help this sink in for our crops for this upcoming spring.
Yeah, we're going to want to reestablish some soil moisture. Well, our weather brought to you by Progressive Ag. They are our risk management specialists, and we thank them for being a part of our day. Maybe you're thinking about the weather. Maybe you are on the road somewhere and you have a road report for us. You can reach us on the JLA Insurance phone line. That number is 701-293-9000. Nate Thorsrud, he's a farmer too, and he is JLA Crop Insurance. We'd love to visit with you about upcoming changes that you're going to need to know. And that deadline for crop insurance sign up is March 16th. It's coming pretty darn fast. Also, you can send us emails, ag@flagfamily.com or weather@flagfamily.com, because our inboxes, those are sponsored by Superior Grain Equipment. They power our email, but also give you superior grain storage, drying, and handling solutions. Go look at them, superiorbins.com. There's probably still time to talk about extra bin storage for later on this season if you'd like to visit with them. Well, I am wildly behind in headlines. We don't have a guest today, but we've had a busy week. We've just a number of things to cover. Everything from pulling calves, which I was a witness to yesterday. Cover crop folks named to the U.S. Soybean Board from North Dakota. We want to talk about weed escapes, and we can even have a little history lesson about irrigation, where it came from, how it developed. So lots of things to discuss and share, and we will do that after we get the livestock report from the American Ag Network, which is up next. So excited to have you joining us here on Weather and Ag in Focus. And from time to time, we have our Cass County Farm Bureau Assistant Ag Directors joining us as well. We'll have two of them here in March. They'll be joining me for an upcoming special the week of March 23rd. Yep, the 23rd. That's National Ag Week. We're going to celebrate all week long with a whole lot of different activities. Again, National Ag Week, the week of March 23rd. Thanks to Cass County Farm Bureau for helping us have interns for that week as Assistant Ag Directors. And just that reminder, if you haven't gone out to look at techsupport.farm online, please do. When it comes to cybersecurity, especially as we see these bridge payments coming out to farmers, we need to be paying attention because the hackers and criminals are paying attention. They know that farmers are getting their checks right now. They also know that USDA is trying to transition to the one farmer, one login. So a farmer only needs one login to get into FSA, RMA, which is your risk management, also NRCS for conservation services, and others. So if you're putting together weak passwords, what if somebody else gets in there and messes with your bank account numbers and so much more? Get that checked out. Go to techsupport.farm. In fact, Chris will be on the agenda next week at the Ag Mafia Winter Conference held at Bruhala on March 11th and 12th. He'll be one of the speakers, and if you're interested in hearing him, drop me an email, ag@flagfamily.com. I'll help you get hooked up and connected for that. So, Dean, are you itching to give away some Sportsman's Show tickets? Or what's your plan?
Well,
what do you
we do. I've got a pair of Sportsman Show tickets for this weekend. We're going to do weather trivia. We'll do it next segment, and it's going to be a multiple choice question. So it's going to be basically a which statement is false, and if you can get it correct, then you'll win a pair of tickets for the Sportsman Show this weekend. We'll do that next segment. Let's hit a couple of ag topics first. Like you said, we've been backed up on those this week. We've been so busy.
I hate to tell you this, but that happens a lot. Okay. So there's some pretty cool things that are taking place right now. One of them is certainly representation that we have at a national level with some of our local folks. And one of those local folks is a farmer from the Wimbledon area. His name is Rob Rose. Rob has served recently on the North Dakota Soybean Growers Board, and he was appointed in February to a 3-year term. That is Rob was on the Soybean Council, and he will have a 3-year term, and that will be on the United Soybean Board. This is a 77-member board. It is a farmer volunteer board. What do those folks do? And there's 3 of them from North Dakota. Rob is one, so is Matt Gast, and then Cindy Pulskamp. Those folks on that board, they have the opportunity to help contribute to what is going on when it comes to helping U.S. soybean farmers achieve their maximum value for their soy checkoff investments. And the volunteers who do this, they create value, they stewardship investments, they look at research, education, promotion, and so much more. It is a stipulated in the Federal Soybean Promotion Research and Consumer Information Act that the USDA does in fact have responsibility for the soy checkoff. I always think it's just fantastic when we have farmers representing us at a national level. North Dakota has 5 of the largest soybean growing counties in the U.S. It's because we have large counties, number one. And so the fact that all of these folks participate and do what they do makes a difference right here in the state of North Dakota. Now, when you're raising soybeans, it certainly makes it matter. It makes a difference when it comes to your weed control. And Grow You, which is actually an organization that talks about getting rid of weeds. That's where the grow comes from. They want to make sure that people understand there is a zero tolerance policy about weed control these days. More and more times we're having problems where we are only relying on one method of practice in order to keep our weed problems, especially in soybeans, down. And we see this consistently in North Dakota. We have water hemp, we have kochia, we have maybe a little bit of Palmer amaranth, we have a lot of pigweed, lamb's quarter, and there are times where we look at, well, just an escape. One escape is okay, but it's really not. And what are the ways that we can make sure to protect and go to a zero tolerance of any weeds being in the field? One, of course, is we can always use herbicides to control them. and we have to use multiple modes of action to do that. Two, tillage is making a comeback. Being at farm shows this winter, I saw more and more tillage operations being discussed because as much as we don't want to disturb the soil, tillage may have to be a more prevalent practice in order to try to keep some of those weed problems down. Cover crops, we are seeing an increase in the use of cover crops. So if you have to use some of the tillage, you want to prevent erosion, maybe you're using some cover crop instead. Cover crop holds the soil in place, it will hold moisture where it needs to be, but you got to make sure that you terminate the cover crop or else it becomes a weed problem that competes with your crop as well. There are diseases that are specifically going to go after certain weeds. There happens to be a rust that doesn't like Canada thistle, and that's the only thing it controls. It goes after Canada thistle and eliminates that weed. Now, as someone whose most hated weed problem is Canada thistle, I'm all for it. Let that rust go. I'm happy to see it happen. Um, get rid of it. And because if we don't do these things, there will be times we have to look back at some of the practices we did, such as hand labor. Um, Kids in the Midwest talk about riding the bean bar. They literally sat on a bar, it sort of had seats, on the front of a tractor, and somebody, dad or whomever, slowly drove the tractor through the fields, and you sat there with a big hook or a big knife bar and cut weeds out of the field by hand.
Oof.
And I'd like you to imagine doing that
Oh.
through the summer months.
See, kids
Yeah.
now have it so much easier. They don't have to worry about
Hey,
doing that.
I got a software program that'll GPS your rocks and give you the most efficient map to go pick them. Where was that when I was 9?
Yeah,
I can
right?
guarantee you, nowhere on the horizon. So, right now, weed elimination is one of our greatest concerns. And there are certainly other pests that we need to talk about as well. Sometimes you have bugs, like in the case of leafy spurge. You have a leafy spurge beetle that we use here in North Dakota that just likes to feed on the spurge. So the good news is if you can release that beetle and it eats the spurge and eliminates it, that's fantastic. But sometimes they die in bad winters. So you got to keep re-releasing. Everything has a positive and a negative. Well, we're going to see what some of those positive and negatives are in the news. We'll catch that here at 1:30. But when we return, more headlines, things to give away. Addison is giving all sorts of ideas on these ticket giveaways. We're not sure if we're going to allow him to do this, but we'll be right back.
Uh, And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus, 1:35 in the afternoon. And it's time we're going to give away some Sportsman Show tickets. That's this weekend, and we've got a pair to give away. But you've got to answer a weather trivia question. And it's a multiple choice, so it shouldn't be too bad. But it's we're going to give you, so it's A, B, C, and D. Which of these statements is false? If you can guess which statement is false, then we will give you those pair of tickets. So let's see. Bridgette, how about can you go? I've got one thing to gather here. Can you hit one more ag topic? I've got one thing I have to dig up here. If you can.
Oh, I can.
Okay.
Here's where it's going to get descriptive. Addison, put down your lunch. Here we go.
Why do you
All
got to
right,
do
so
this to me?
I'm so sorry, but yet I sort of love doing this to you because I know you laugh and giggle. All right, so yesterday, being back home on the farm, we had a lot of calves dropping, and it may be because that front was going to move in, right? Drop the temperature and bring in the fog, because it's always happens when you have a big change in pressure, you see more calves. Well, how do you know when a calf needs to be pulled? And frankly, we had to pull one yesterday. I say we because I was standing on the other side of the fence watching. I was just not dressed appropriately for that situation. But what you see is that you try to have that cow in a head gate because it's better to stabilize her, right? You don't need her chasing you down when she's trying to birth a calf. That's going to get a little crazy. And sometimes you just have large size calves and they don't come out through the birthing canal very easily. What are some things that you should do? There really is something called an OB chain, and you're going to wrap that chain around the leg just above the hoof, but before you get to the fetlock. You can't go too high because when you pull, you could actually break the calf's legs. So you'll put the chain on and you work with the mama cow, right? If she's trying to push, you're going to try to pull, try to ease that calf out. It is important to act fairly quickly. If the calf gets stuck, holy cow, we need a vet. And when we've talked to our vets, like Dr. Emily Fox here on air, they're not always just 10 miles away. They can be quite a wait. So getting that calf out matters. There's a point where the umbilical cord can get pinched and the calf is not going to get oxygen from mama cow. So now there's the potential for them to suffocate. So pull and make sure that when you get that calf, when you get their nose out, give them a chance to breathe. Also, especially once you get the ribs out of the birthing canal, they have a chance to expand their ribs, take a bigger breath, and be able to start sustaining themselves. If the calf is not in the right position, you're going to have to rotate that calf about 90 degrees before you can attempt to deliver the hips. If the hips aren't aligned for that calf to come out of mama cow, it's hip lock. Calf is stuck. What are we going to do? We're going to try to shove them back in, turn them, and bring them back out. So we want to try to avoid that as much as possible. Have that calf in the right position. If a calf is trying to come out backwards, that's high risk. The likelihood of asphyxiation or aspiration of fluid is incredibly high. That could very easily become a C-section calf unless you can figure out how to push her back in and turn her and get her back out. We have seen a fair amount of twins this year. That's not unusual, but the second twin has a less likely chance of survival because they've been in the womb longer. They may have been deprived of oxygen. They may be smaller. And so even though twins sounds like a great thing, their survivability rate isn't always ideal. So there you go. You guys are prepared. Next time we're on the farm, we got to pull calves. Get your gloves on, guys. Here we go.
I'd just like to defend myself real quick. Before you started that, you said that these topics normally make me, I think your words were laugh and giggle or chuckle. That's a really funny way to mispronounce cringe and cry.
I'll bring some extra Kleenex in for you, Addison.
Oh, you won't.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine. Oh, man. Well, let's hit some weather trivia. I know it's an extra day of weather trivia, but we've got an extra pair of tickets to give away for the Sportsman Show this weekend. So listen closely, okay? I want you to tell me which one of these statements is false. I'm going to give you four weather trivia facts. Which one of these is false? All right. In 1972, a blizzard buried 200 villages in Iran under 314 inches of snow. That's one. Number two, in 2003, a heat wave was so severe it turned grapes into raisins while still on the vine. Number three, a single lightning bolt can reach the temperature 5 times hotter than the sun. Or number four, the highest wind gust ever recorded on Earth is 253 miles an hour on Barrow Island, Australia. So, which one of those is false? A 1972 blizzard buried 200 villages in Iran under 314. Oh, we've got a caller already. Caller number one. Hey, you're on line one. What's your guess today? What's your name and what's your guess?
This is Dave. I guess A or number one, first one.
Number one. So, a 1972 blizzard buried 200 villages in Iran under 314 inches of snow. That's actually...
Right.
That's true. I thought when I read that, I had to double check, and I triple checked, and it's one of the worst snow events on the globe that's been recorded. So yeah, that is actually true. But hey, good try. All right, caller number two. What's your name? What's your guess?
Tony and the wind gust.
Nope. Tony, the wind gust is correct at 253 miles an hour. Tony. That good guess. So we're running out here. Caller number three. What's your name? What's your guess?
Is correct at 253 miles an hour.
Renee, what is your guess? Which one of those is incorrect?
The one with the raisins.
The one with the raisins is true. In 2003, a heat wave was so severe it turned grapes into raisins while still on the vine.
Look, Renee, I'm kind of hoping for that to happen again at some time. Maybe the raisins are tasty, or I somehow just get wine earlier, sooner, whatever the case might be. Let me know.
Okay, so we're down to Addison.
It really depends if the people who are still calling in have been paying attention.
Yes.
And this could, you know me, I like throwing trick questions in here too. So if that's now, there's a big hint. Caller, what's your name and what's your guess?
Hey, this is Dave.
Dave, what's up? What's your guess?
I'm going to go with the lightning.
The lightning, let's see, a lightning bolt, it absolutely can reach a temperature of 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 5 times hotter than the sun. Dave, hey, try again. If you're paying attention, you know the answer. All right. Did you get it yet or no?
Okay. By the way, when
Yeah.
lightning hits sand, doesn't that just create glass
Oh,
because it's so hot?
right.
Mhm.
Lightning may be hot, but it's only a fraction of the temperature this room gets during WAG.
So if you've been paying attention, you should know the answer, right? Now, Addison, you said you have to pay. Have you been paying attention?
Do you know who I am?
I know you're a squirrel, squirrel nut. All right, caller, what's your name? What's your guess?
Renee, and it's none of the above.
Thank
Or it's all
you.
of the above.
Yes, Renee, very good. You were paying attention. All of those answers, all of those facts are actually correct. In 72, a blizzard buried 200 villages in Iran. I couldn't believe that. It was a week-long blizzard under 314 inches of snow. 2003 heat wave did turn grapes into raisins, and lightning bolt. Yeah, that's 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun, and highest wind gust on Earth, 253. That was in Barrow Island, Australia, back in '96. So, Renee, very good. Way to pay attention.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and Renee, what's your initial for your last name?
F is in Frank.
Okay, and all right, thank you, Renee. And you know where our station is to pick up the tickets, right, Renee?
Yep, I do.
Excellent. Just stop down here anytime rest of today till 5 or during business hours tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Renee. All right. See, Renee was paying attention. So I tried to throw a curveball in there.
Meanwhile, one of our listeners replied back and he said, by description of pulling calves is best not given while people are eating spaghetti. Ooh.
Oh. Oh, Addison. was that John? That sounds like something John would send in.
Just
All
want to
right.
enjoy my
Nope.
lunch just one day.
Right.
It's like the worst time of the day for my body to be like, hey, it's time for lunch. No, it's not.
You will want to check what my headlines are before you plan your meals. Just
You really
a
do.
thought. Oh my. Okay. Well, this would be a fitting time for us to get ready for our next segment where we will recap the weather. And I still have some headline things left that we're going to want to talk about. So we'll get to those right after this.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus at 1:50 in the afternoon here on March 5th. It doesn't feel like March 5th out there. Well, it depends where you're at. If you're in the Northern Valley, it sure does. Temperatures 20 in Grand Forks. You go down to Hillsboro, it starts to warm up to 28. It's 34 here in town, 41 in Ulen. Warm spot in the state down in Oaks at 52. And the cold spot in the state right now up in Rolla at 9 above. So, from 9 to 53 across the state. Now, typically, when you get a temperature spread that big, you've got a pretty decent storm brewing. Normally, we would worry about something like this, and there is going to be a big storm, but it looks like the majority of this is going to pass to our south. In fact, areas of the central and southern plains going to have their first severe weather outbreak as we head into the day tomorrow. We'll be on the northern end of that. Now, the majority of the precip is going to stay to our south, but we will see a little light wintry mix out of this as we head into it late tonight, and especially during the daytime hours tomorrow. Tonight, winter weather advisory does go into effect late tonight. We're talking after about 3 in the morning, where we'll see a little freezing mist, freezing drizzle, and that will crescendo into a little light snow as we head into the day on Friday. So could have a little bit of slippery travel in the morning. Not expecting this to be a major event, but again, it doesn't take a lot of freezing mist and drizzle to grease up the roadways. So keep that in mind for tomorrow. Now, after highs today ranging anywhere from the low 20s in the Northern Valley to, again, near 50 right on that South Dakota border, and 40s from the Southern Valley into Lakes Country. Most everybody in the 20s to near the freezing mark tomorrow, thus the reason for the winter weather advisory tomorrow with the light freezing mist, drizzle, and snow. And then as we head into the weekend, we'll start to improve things. We'll warm up into the 40s on Saturday and 50s to near 60 on Sunday. Everybody gets in on the warm weather, even the Northern Valley, on Saturday and Sunday. So that's good news there. And then next week, we've got a trio of storm systems that'll be coming through the northern plains. One on Tuesday, one on Thursday, one on Saturday. Now, a lot of question marks this far in advance on how much snow, but neither of them look to be too impressive. There's some signs that one of those could pack a little more punch than the other two. So that's something we'll keep an eye on. But we're not done with the snow yet. We will get more next week into the following weekend. And again, like I said, it is still March, and we could always use the moisture and then hope for a nice little slow melt so we can get some of this to sink in instead of run off. That would be ideal. So luckily, and I haven't checked, Bridgette, and I don't know if you know offhand, but how deep is the frost layer right now? I could probably find out through Daryl Richardson, but do you have any?
Yeah.
And do you know offhand?
We could go to the NDON site, but it's really
Yeah.
going to be variable across the state. When you look at western North Dakota from Bismarck to the Montana line, they've had significantly warmer days. So I'm going to just make the leap that their frost level is probably a lot less than ours over here. But we've had some warm weather. So what if there's no frost in the top couple inches and then we hit frost level after that? So I think it's very possible, depending on where we're at, that it's the case. Let me go back to what you said about freezing drizzle and freezing rain tomorrow. I'm going to need a wear for that because I'm going to be on the road. So what direction should I be going?
Where are you heading first off? And I can kind of...
I will be going west to the western part of the state.
Are you taking 94 or are you going north?
I was going to take 94, or do I have to get to Dickinson via Minot?
Well...
Really?
Once you
Are we expecting
past
this on the overnight?
I would go. Yeah, once you get past Jamestown, you're fine. So you'll be okay. You should be okay. Go 94. Yeah, you'll run into a little bit as you get approaching Jamestown, but once you get west of Jamestown, I think you're going to be all right. And it's like I said, it shouldn't be a big deal. The worst part of this is going to be in the southeast corner of the state, south into South Dakota and east into Lakes Country. So
mostly in the morning.
It'll last into early afternoon, but yeah, a lot of it's coming in the morning, but then that lasts into early afternoon. But again, it's moving from west to east, so as you go west, you'll improve throughout the day. If that
Anybody who's watching me on the live stream right now is just like, oh, she seems dissatisfied with this question.
Yeah, right? But it doesn't look like a big deal. I think like I said, the interstate system should be okay. If you're going south into South Dakota, I had one of our listeners, they're going down for an event in Sioux Falls, and she was worried about running into the freezing rain going south on 29. And I said, well, in northern parts of South Dakota, I would leave early if you can. But once you get down towards Sioux Falls, it's going to be all rain. So it's,
Okay.
Depends where you're going.
Two things there. If she's going she's going to take I-29 through Summit, there could be a blizzard there in July. So A, she's screwed. She's going to hit it no matter what.
Yeah.
B, when you tell me, oh, it's not going to be that bad, it's just freezing rain for a while. Dude, you're not the one on the road. Come on.
Good point. Well, our road crews, they do such a good job on the interstate system to keeping that. Like this morning, the secondary road, the residential areas, sidewalks, they were a sheet. And I'm talking sheet of ice here in
So
town.
glad you said sheet, by the way.
Yes. Good to
Had me reaching
right?
for the dump button there for a second.
That was close.
Addison's having a panic attack behind the screen. Fair enough.
Yeah, the interstate system was fine. That's, tip of the cap to our road crews. They really keep up on the main thoroughfares. So you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. You'll be okay.
Through town, there's a couple of stretches out there, and they're doing everything that they can. But let's face it, because of plenty of traffic and all the things that are happening, it's just not so easy to be able to keep up with some of that ice and snow. And we are in that time of the year where it's just not going to happen. Frankly, none of us take things out of four-wheel drive until we get to about mid-April. That seems to be the benefit for many of us. So, goodness sakes. Well, we probably aren't going to get to a whole lot more of our topics for today as far as headlines are concerned, but we've got some room to do more of them tomorrow. Tomorrow we have Greg Hansen with Hansen Agri Commodities joining us. For those of you who have questions for him as far as marketing, you do a great job of sending me emails, ag@flagfamily.com. You can certainly send me more. I've gotten a number in regards to, with the situation in Iran, what do we think those implications might be going down the road on our markets? Also, some other political items that have come up, and then even just real world situations like I have X amount of grain on the farm that needs to be priced. Where do you think I should go with that? So send those real life scenarios over. Would be more than happy to visit with you about them. And additionally, before the show, if you're curious, I'll be hosting the Nooner Chat over on Twitter. Notice I said on Twitter, because if I say I host the Nooner Chat on X, people think that's weird. But I'll be doing that with Clint Fisher from South Dakota. He's an attorney down there, and we do a item called Legacy Matters. We're going to talk about farm transitions, and we have a specific farm situation from a family in Iowa that we're going to be talking about. So you can find multiple things to listen to tomorrow that likely help out long term. So appreciate you guys being a part of those.
All right. Well, that'll do it for today's version of Weather and Ag in Focus. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Don't go anywhere, though. The Jay Thomas Show, it's coming up next.